Hi there, this is Just a Girl in Camas, Alicia King, and I'm coming to you on a sunny day in Camas on my beautiful porch. And I have a special guest I'd really love you to meet. This is Max. Hi, Max.
Hello.
Hello. So I kind of am just meeting Max. I've met him a couple times, but feel like I know Max already because his mom, Lisa, is a friend of mine, and I'm thinking a lot of you know Lisa in the community. She's just out there, very spirited, bubbly woman, and I'm friends with her on Facebook. So about a year ago, I saw this post from Lisa about this book her son had wrote. And the book is right here. And the book is called Aspergers and Other Superpowers, the autobiography of an oddly blessed and cursed child by Maximillian Marciel. And I saw this and I was like, wow, her son wrote a book and he was a senior in high school. And I thought, this is so cool. I'm going to see if I could read this book. So I have read the book. I am going to try not to get teary today. I was moved emotionally on a lot of different levels. I cried, I laughed, I was happy, I was sad, and I'm so honored that you took the time to come talk to me today, Max.
No problem. It's definitely a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to start off first. Let's talk about this. I mean, you're 18, right? Or you
Yep.
turned 19.
I am 19 now,
Oh, you are.
just on 26. So,
Okay. So how old were you when you wrote this book and how did it come to be, the idea, just everything? I mean, this is published and in book form. So how did this start?
well, when I was 17, I needed something to do for my senior project, and me and my mother threw around a lot of different ideas, and for a while we were panicked. We're like, oh, what do we do? What are we going to do? So eventually the idea came up that maybe I should write a book about my experiences with my disability. And we threw that idea around for a while, and eventually, the senior project was the secondary objective. After a while, it became more about, trying to share the story, trying to share the experience to other people. Like, the idea was that, I'd turn in for the senior project, and a lot of friends and family would be able to read it and everything like that. And I think more people have bought it than I actually expected them to, so it's been pretty fun. It's pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, really cool. I know a lot of you out there actually right now is the week that people are they're having their senior boards at the high school.
Yeah.
So when you presented that, how did that go at the high school? What was the response?
Well, one person in the room, after I was done with the senior project and I was waiting in the room for the results, my teacher came in, and when he gave me the results, he said that one person said it was the best presentation they'd seen that day. And I was like surprised. I practiced quite a lot for it. I was very, very nervous. I was like almost shaken before I came in the room, and I came in a little late. And like I'm actually surprised that it turned out so well. So everything seemed to work pretty well.
Great. And I know that you graduated, so everything must have worked out okay.
Like that?
Awesome. Well, at different points in this interview today, I have a couple favorite parts, and even I couldn't put them all in there. But to start this interview out, it's kind of in the beginning of the book, and I just want to read to you a little bit. So basically, in the beginning, Max is talking about from birth, from stories from his family members or the little that he can remember. But I think this is kind of right around the time you're getting diagnosed, and they're talking about the rainbow spectrum, like the spectrum of Asperger's and where you fall on that and everything. And you say, now then, I suppose the stage is now set for the rest of my life's strange occurrences. Lucky me. The school year went on as planned. I made a few friends, and they subsequently interacted with me in a forced mechanical way. I look back on this time fondly because I was able to be a kid. No one let my newfound disability impede my efforts to have fun, and people were willing to work with me and my parents for it. Was because of other people's kindness that I was able to enjoy myself so much each and every day. It was people taking time and effort out of their days to make accommodations for children who were different that really made those years matter for me. And for that, they have my infinite gratitude. And I just right away, you had me crying in Starbucks, I just have to say, because I know there's a lot of young people out there that are struggling, like I read that you did through your elementary years and through middle school and trying to find yourself and where you fit in. So, in your book, you talk about being bullied and being made fun of, and you had a couple things that you were picky about. You didn't like sand, right? Do you like sand now?
No.
Okay. The texture, the consistency. Actually, I've seen so many little kids put their toes on the sand and they don't like it either. So I don't think you're alone in that. How did you deal or go forward in life with those experiences of people being unkind to you or feeling like you didn't fit in?
Well, a lot of what you have to do is realize that they're all being dumb kids. Um, that, you know, there comes a point where you have to think about what makes you different, and you have to realize that it's okay to be a little different from all the other kids because you're better at them than some things, and they're better at you than some things,
Mm-hmm.
and that we're all different people.
Mm-hmm.
And if they want to make fun of you for that, let them. Because you got to move on.
Mm-hmm.
It it got to me when I was a kid, but when I look back at it, it doesn't get to me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow. Wow. I think you were really strong there, Max. I mean, to keep going on, and you eventually did make friends also. It sounds like at some of your schools, you found a couple kids that fit into your life and you enjoyed time with them.
yeah, the best example was my friend Michael when I was in third and fourth grade.
Shout out to Michael.
He was he was almost exactly like me. I'm fairly certain he was also on the spectrum, and we
Mm-hmm.
both had to deal with
Mm-hmm.
the other kids
Mm-hmm.
not taking kindly to us.
Mm-hmm.
But we persisted because, we had each other.
That's awesome.
And that's kind of what it was like going through.
Mm-hmm.
I was at least able to find someone
Mm-hmm.
every time that
Mm-hmm.
understood me, and I'm so thankful for that.
Wonderful. Well, I think Max will agree that I hope if you have a son or daughter or you're struggling, that they can find someone out there because I think if you can just find one and find somebody to bond and have a friendship with and do activities, all those things you want to do, it can help make the difference. So, Max is funny. I really, yes, I was like, this is just like one little paragraph because I found myself totally laughing out loud. So he's talking about, so he went to church. His family took him to church when he was little. And so he's talking about like waiting for his mom, who likes to socialize a little bit. And he says, church is where old people go to socialize when they aren't replacing their dentures or driving their horse-drawn carriages. So we had a lot of free time to play on the playground outside once the service was over. We would beg our mom to go home if we got bored, but my mother always seems to make tons of friends at church and would hang out with them for an extra 5 minutes. I think I'm laughing because I've told my kids so many times 5 more minutes. Um, that's where I learned that mom's clock runs a little slow, especially when she's socializing. So I just had to read, like, that is just a glimpse into just that humor that's mixed into it. It's super fun. So, another part that I wanted to talk about is you have a passion. I know you like to do a lot of things, but seems like in the book, history and geometry were like your strengths. You did struggle with, what subject was it that you struggled with?
Spanish.
Espanol. And but you're a lover of languages now, right?
Yep, it complete 180 basically.
Yeah, so what happened? I'm fascinated with this because at the end of the book, how many languages are you speaking or studying right now?
Well, speaking is a little bit of a stretch. I have the will and initiative to start learning a language, but I do not have the will and initiative to finish learning a language. Getting to a conversational level is something I have to like motivate myself into
Sure.
doing, but it's like nothing to start one.
So, though, if you just were going to say hello and goodbye in a few words in each language that you've looked into, how many is that?
Oh, God, hello and goodbye is like five or six maybe.
Uh-huh. So, in a subject you did not like, you found a love for it.
Yeah, it's really strange. With Asperger's, you can grab obsessions and focuses really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just become something that you
Mm-hmm.
really, really love.
That's
And
awesome.
that's what happened with languages.
Uh-huh.
After I started studying Georgian, and I'm pretty glad that it was Georgian because Spanish didn't click it for me because it was like simple and kind of boring. But Georgian is like crazy and all over the place, and the
Right.
grammar's weird, and it got me adjusted to a lot of the weird language things that would help me later.
So what do you like about it? Do you think you like to kind of break it apart or see what do you think engages your mind with it?
With languages in general,
Yeah.
just the idea that like all these things that you see every day, like all the stuff that you see around you,
Uh-huh.
can be completely different in someone else's mind
Uh-huh.
is like really cool. And every language has history. It has like these, languages change and they have
Mm-hmm.
like related languages and they
Mm-hmm.
have like these big family trees.
Mm-hmm.
And often when I learn a language, I'll also start learning the history.
Right.
And that's what really engages me.
Mm-hmm. So I read in the book Geometry, Max became pretty popular because one of the reasons is people needed help with geometry. So they would need help. Max would know the answers. So I would say that brought some friendships and people into your life, don't you think?
Yeah, there were these like four girls in particular, I
Poor
remember,
girls.
all sat at my table and were all like pretty impressed. I was weirded out at first, but
Mm-hmm.
they eventually became my friends, and they were all really cool people.
That's
So,
great.
I mean, even if you need help with the geometry, I don't judge.
Right. Okay, good. So Max grew up in Hawaii, just so you know that background, and him and his family moved here to Camas. What year were you?
I think I was 16 when I moved to Camas.
Okay. How was that transition for you? I mean, transition for a lot of people is difficult. A new place, new school. How did you deal with that transition coming here, and how was your experience coming here? Do you feel like you were welcomed? I know you were impressed by the school. I did read that in your book. So give me your thoughts on moving
Uh,
here.
Getting to Camas was actually pretty hard, I'd say. It's not just like you move to a different location. I mean, I did move to a different location, but I also kind of moved cultures a bit.
Mm-hmm.
In Hawaii, I could remember so many people would approach me. So many people were nice. So many people just, they had their little cliques and their
Mm-hmm.
groups, but they were always really flexible with it. They
Mm-hmm.
always like wanted people to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite memory in Hawaii was, it was my birthday and I was about to leave. And I remember walking to a classroom and everyone was there and they had a cake and everything. And that's just something I never saw.
Mm-hmm.
But not to say Camas High School is bad. Camas High School was welcoming eventually. You just got to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I moved to Camas, I came in my junior year. Everyone had their groups already. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
kind of knew where they were except me, or
Mm-hmm.
so it seemed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but eventually, I was able to find small groups, and I do really thrive in small groups
Mm-hmm.
of people who are who are weird, who accept me. Um, and I don't need to be a popular person ever. Um, and those people that I met at Camas were just as nice as the people in Hawaii. I just had to find them.
Awesome. Good. I'm glad you found them. I think we all talk about the Hawaiian spirit. I know you grew up there. I visited there, and I know that family is super important in Hawaii. Um, so I don't know. I always think if we can bring a little bit of that to the mainland, a little extra as well, and remember that if you're a student out there and there's a new student at school, it can be super hard. So sometimes reaching out a little extra and making more effort can make a difference. On the note of Ohana, um, I think what also moved me in the book, being a mom, is that your parents were such advocates for you. And when you got diagnosed early on, instead of staying in denial or being depressed, they were like, let's help Max the best that we can. What can we do at school? What can we do in therapy? And I think you know this, that you're very lucky to have a mom and dad team up like that. And I just wanted to know, how did you view that? Do you see now, looking back a little bit, how instrumental they were, or what do
You
you
know,
think?
after I reviewed what my mom was doing for me at that age that I couldn't remember, I am so much more thankful to her now. She went through a lot of things working with me and with my little brother, and it is so nice to have a mom like her.
Yeah.
And my dad, he's always encouraging. He's always he was always there. Like when I had something I wanted to share with him, he I remember he'd like when I was little and I was into space and everything like that and into planets. He quizzed me on the planets. He learned about things with me,
Hmm.
and always let me share stuff with him. He was never disengaged with me. He was always
Hmm.
there with me, and I'm so lucky to have a dad like him, and I'm so lucky to have a mom like the mom I have.
Hmm. Sure. And I think they're pretty lucky too, Max. I think what you've brought to their life has taught them lots of lessons and filled them up probably with a lot more love than they ever thought. So awesome. Um, I I do have to say in the book that is a really strong message I got, is that Max's mom and dad, they were a team together and really advocated for their son. So I just want to give a shout out to that too, because it does take a village. So Max, I'm so excited about what you're doing now. Not that I'm not excited about a lot of things I read, but last year Max was a freshman at Gonzaga University. And I think at some point in this journey, I don't know if you thought you'd be going there, if your parents thought you'd be going there or off to college. How has that experience been? And I know you did a little bit of prep work before you went. So share with us a little bit about that.
Well, the prep work was actually pretty nice in helping me learn a lot of things I thought were unnecessary, but a lot of things absolutely were necessary. That was the Do It program at the University of Washington.
Okay, tell us about that.
They took me to the University of Washington. They set me up with a roommate, and they usually set you up a roommate with a similar disability to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was exclusively for people with disabilities who are trying to go into college. And they were very, very strict and very, very, instrumental in teaching the kids how you deal with college with this particular disability. And
Mm-hmm.
they had a whole range.
Mm-hmm.
They had me, who I'm fairly high functioning
Mm-hmm.
personally, but and then they had
I
a
would
lot of
say you are.
and then they had a lot of kids with bigger problems or different problems,
Mm-hmm.
especially. And I thought they had you do interviews, they had you write
Great.
resumes, they
Uh-huh.
had you code for websites, all this stuff that is actually pretty useful in college right now.
And what about, wasn't there some living experience kind of, so that when you were,
Uh, Definitely. I'm actually pretty fortunate. My second roommate was hearing impaired, and therefore he didn't make much noise. It was pretty fun. My first roommate, I got along with pretty well because he was a lot like me.
mm-hmm.
But I did have to get used to a lot of the things that happen in a college dorm. And the first time we were there, uh, I'm pretty sure they intentionally gave us a dorm that wasn't the nicest, so we would understand what it's like. There were these big shared showers and everything, and it was kind of an older facility,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to get used to it. I was pretty irritated at first, but by the end, I was
You
loving
were
it.
able to
You know,
adapt.
yeah.
Great. So how's Gonzaga?
Right now, I'd say it's be pretty interesting. Um,
Are you happy?
yeah, I'd say there was a lot of work,
Mm-hmm.
but that workload is pretty difficult. And one thing at Gonzaga you need to get used to, and this is something I wasn't used to before then, was failure. You at college, whether you're really smart or you're not so smart, whatever smart means and doesn't mean anything, um, you're probably gonna encounter a situation where you're about to fail something,
Mm-hmm. And that's scary, isn't
and
it?
that terrified me. That really, really hurt me. like because I hadn't encountered something like that before.
Hmm.
But college is a place where you learn new things and you encounter things that you have not encountered before in your life. So it's a hard step, but it's a step I needed to take.
Hmm.
And I think it's a step that helped me in the long run.
Awesome. Well, I have to say I'm super proud of you for that freshman year, and I know you're going back in August, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you'll be heading off to your sophomore year.
Yeah, I'm going into the engineering program.
Oh, wonderful.
Uh, kudos to anyone who wants to do that at like an engineering school because it is tough.
Mm-hmm.
There is just a lot of math.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of professors who know they have to be hard on you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I really hope that I can continue to learn new things and eventually, get the job that I want. Sorry.
That's
Get the
okay.
job that I want.
Right. Well, I just want to say I know you can do it, and I'm excited to follow you on your journey and be a cheerleader for you and support you. So I have no doubt you can do it, Max.
Thank
Very
you.
capable. I hope you have enjoyed meeting this young man today. I know I enjoyed reading your book, and thank you for sitting down with me today. It means a lot.
No problem.
Thank you. So, I want to support Max, and I want you to support Max. This book is on sale at Amazon.com. I'm not kidding. If you're in a book club, if you're looking for a summer read, if you want to learn more about this disability or have anyone in your life that could benefit from this book, I'm assuming we just enter the title. Is that right?
Yeah.
To find it? So
It's
it,
on Amazon.
on Amazon,
Search
it's
it.
Aspergers and Other Superpowers. So I love my copy. I really enjoyed it, and I encourage you to check it out as well. Um, I'm going to say this is probably one of my favorite interviews, Max, because meeting people like you inspires me. And I think if we can share your story and help anyone out there, then we're doing something good in our community. So thank you.
Yep. It's been really nice to be here, and the point of the book was to share the perspective and to share the ideas
Hmm.
of someone going through this or someone with a disability. So I'm pretty glad that I'm here at this interview right now, sharing the experience and the you know, it, I think experience is the only word for that
Yeah.
actually.
Okay, cool. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in today. This is Just a Girl in Camas, Alicia King. Thank you.